Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! Something I always think about is how cool would it have been if I had the chance to grow up as a fan of Descendants and Zombies. As many of you know, I've been on YouTube for a very long time, pretty close to over 30 years. And while I may have never had the chance to grow up in a generation that was led by Descendants and Zombies and its power, I had the chance to witness Descendants and Zombies go on to become one of the greatest franchises, certainly one of the most revered of this generation. And it became the greatest honor of my life and the most fun that I've ever had because I believe in zombie apocalypses. I believe in the story of Zed and Addison. I encouraged Red and Chloe's friendship and their story because it was a beautiful one. And Descendants 5, Book of Wonderland seems to be one of the most beautiful stories that we will ever witness in the history of the Descendants franchise, which is something special I'm looking forward to being a part of. Because you guys have allowed me to be a part of something special, have allowed me the opportunity to have represented thousands, if never millions of people as a dedicated voice of Descendants and Zombies. Something these franchises have deserved for a very long time. Because Descendants and Zombies has obviously held a very special place in our hearts for a very long time, including mine. Because the characters, how beautiful they were, how fearless, how strong they undeniably were, and how special they would go on to mean to each and every one of your hearts. Because for every soul out there tonight watching these videos, there's a favorite character. There's a favorite moment or a favorite song that defines you for being the fan of Descendants and Zombies that you are, because as I've said many times over the years, and the over 1,000+ videos that I've had the honor to create, every fan of Descendants and Zombies is different in their own unique way. They have a favorite song, a favorite character, a favorite moment that they will never ever forget. It could be that moment that Zed and Addison laid eyes on each other for the first time ever, the first moment that Red and Chloe became friends. Even with how they couldn't stand each other, they eventually became the best of friends, emphasizing just how important the friendships that we have in our lifetime are very important to each and every one of us and how much they will go on to mean to us in due time. Or how important time is because we never seem to know how much time we have. I think if we knew how much time we had, we'd probably be frightened to death because we wouldn't know what to do with the time that we had or what we've been allocated with. But that's what makes Descendants and Zombies so special, is that no matter who we are, we've all taken something special away from the life lessons and the experiences and the stories of these characters that we've all been a part of. One of the greatest stories ever told was my story to you, and me having the chance to hear your story in return, because it brought us that much closer together. It gave us an understanding and a greater appreciation of who each other were, and it helped us define ourselves from being fans of Descendants and Zombies. You're probably stopping yourself in the middle of this video saying, geez, this guy makes a whole lot of sense. I love his videos, and I'm going to smash his subscribe button. Well, if you're somebody who thinks that, thank you so much, because I go above and beyond the requirements of a general YouTube content creator, an everyday YouTube content creator, to bring these videos to life. Because if you can't bring your video to life for feeling passionate about Descendants and Zombies and its characters and their stories, then what's the point? I think there's something really cool and really fun about bringing your videos to life and making people more of a believer than they've perhaps ever been, because you remember the first time ever. I don't have to tell you how cool I think Descendants and Zombies is, because it's up to you, and you remember, obviously, the very first moment, the moment that you became a fan of Descendants and Zombies and watched the product for the first time ever, when you saw characters like Mal and Evie come to light because of Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson's contributions, mind you, that will never ever be forgotten, which eventually became the story of Red and Chloe, which was beautifully told and beautifully represented. I will forever miss Ruby Rose Turner's contributions to this franchise. She will forever hold the distinction for being my favorite Descendants character for how sweet the girl was and how much of a personification she gave to how much further kindness can really take a person in this lifetime for how sweet she was. She was one of the strongest and one of the most fearless characters of all time. Even though the character was bullied, it put a greater emphasis on just how much of a profound impact things like bullying and unkind words can have on a person's heart. And that's why I've always emphasized just how important it is to show somebody in your life kindness every day. It could be that one guy that you sit behind every day in school or ride home with every day on the school bus. And if you ever think to yourself, if I say hi to this person, maybe it could uplift their spirits, make their day better than it started off as, and give them something to always remember me for having done. You could be that one girl who gives somebody something to believe in more than they ever have and give them something to talk about to their parents tonight and really uplift their spirits. You never know how much further kindness can really take you until you try your hand at offering kindness to people. I've always believed there are never enough kind people or enough kind acts seen and done in this world. And I think that in the Descendants and Zombies franchise, from within these franchises, this franchise consists of some of the most kind and most heartfelt people in the world. I know this firsthand because of the kindness and the warmth that comes from you guys in terms of appreciation for every video that I've ever created. The love and support that I've received for creating these videos is truly uncomparable to anything that I've ever had the chance to experience, and the one thing that I will never ever forget any of you because of, because you've drawn inspiration from strong people like Clarke and Freya Sky all the time, which is truly incredible. It is nothing short, it never falls nothing short of incredible, because you guys have had these franchises mean so much to you, and they've held a special place in your heart for a very long time. I've loved sharing you my stories about how I love songs like This Is Gonna Be My Year, A Girl and a Zombie, Someday, Show the World, beautiful songs that represented the Zombies franchise. Songs like Red and Fight of Our Lives and Space Between and Rotten to the Core and If Only, that defined us for being the fans of Descendants of Zombies we were from whatever generation we came from, the 2015s or the late 20s. It's really amazing how the entire world has been brought together because of Descendants of Zombies, and this has been an experience that I will never ever forget. I may have been a wrestling fan prior to falling in love with Descendants of Zombies and came from a world that was very different than Descendants of Zombies came from, but the thing was, I always had this passion for Disney, and I always wanted to showcase it. So what I wanted to do when I finally had the chance to launch my own radio show from my home and my own YouTube channel was showcase my passion for Disney more than anything else in the world. And I had the chance to do that with each and every one of you, because for some reason, everybody chose this YouTube channel as their favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel of all time. Here's the thing. Every single time that I've ever pushed record, I always speak from the perspective of a fan because I think that's the most powerful way of doing it. Speaking from the perspective of a fan because it allows you to touch more hearts than you ever realized you could ever have the chance and or opportunity to. Because no matter who we were, we all had a story. And we just wanted our story to be seen and heard by more people than ever before. That's why many of us create YouTube, never knowing how many subscribers we're going to get, how many viewers in terms of viewership we're going to attract. But it's all about how you develop an understanding for yourself and your audience and let your audience know who you are through the stories that you share. It's one thing to sit in front of your microphone every night and talk about Descendants of Zombies and give a release window suggesting July 17th through 18th for Descendants 5 with Wonderland and July 20th for Zombies 5. But it's a whole different experience when you let somebody know who you are and how all of this came to be for you. Because to be honest with you guys, how this happened for me was when a girl showed up at my door one year on Halloween and offered me so much encouragement to create a Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel that will belong in a special place in everybody's heart for a very long time, for many years to come. I never imagined that her prediction will go on to reign true, but it's exactly what happened. And these stories that I've shared with you about how I thought my girlfriend may have been a vampire or my next door neighbors may have been vampires themselves resonated with you and made you feel as if you were part of something special. When I reviewed the Worlds Collide Tour this past summer, it was the summer of 2025 will be a summer that I will never ever forget. For a number of things that happened to me in that summer. I had the chance to review Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires. I had the chance to review the first ever Worlds Collide Tour, the first half of it. And now coming up in the fall of 2026, we will have the chance to review the second half of the tour together, which I intend on being here for. So if you haven't subscribed here, you're probably going to want to do that. I have no intention of becoming a pro wrestler anymore because I've become a full-time content creator. I remember when I was in high school, it was one of two dreams I was going to pursue. I was either going to join a gym and become a pro wrestler, or I was going to become a full-time content creator for my passions and take a chance on showcasing them. And lo and behold, my passion for Disney shined through and offered you something special to believe in, something that you've all held on to for forever. And I've honestly had the time of my life and no regrets ever since creating this YouTube channel, because the thing that I've realized is once you win the hearts of every fan of Descendants of Zombies out there, you've truly got something to be grateful for, and it's the one thing that you will never ever forget, having a chance to resonate with more people than ever before. I've always had this passion for theater and character development, which is what we see all the time in the Zombies franchise, because these characters that have been created through the years and over time, like Zed and Addison, Red and Chloe, have held a special place in our hearts for forever. That's obvious. So because they've held a special place in your heart for forever, that doesn't deserve to come down hard on you because of, or that doesn't deserve criticism. What that deserves is to be loved and supported while offering the person watching this video on the other side of it more of a hope in believing there is a future that has everything to do with their favorite characters and their passions that may have came in the form of drawing their favorite characters, collecting the Descendants of Zombies dolls, and all the merch that comes with being a fan of Descendants of Zombies. I say this because I know what it's like to collect action figures, and I know what it's like to collect dolls because years ago I used to collect a lot of professional wrestling action figures. And when I say wrestling action figures, I mean a lot of professional wrestling action figures. I must have had 500 wrestling action figures, and I had the big wrestling ring to go with it. And every week when I had $10 for an allowance, I would go use that $10 because back in the 90s, a $10 allowance was a lot of money, believe it or not. And you're probably saying to yourself, hey, Jonathan Clarke, my allowance is like $50 every 2 weeks. It's a lot more than what you had. But I did what I had. I worked with what I had, and I used that $10 that I had to buy a wrestling action figure because I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I was also very passionate about collecting gargoyles action figures, and they were so cool. There were only about 5 of them you could get, but working with what I had, I would either buy a pro wrestling action figure or a gargoyles action figure because I was so passionate about it and I believed in it more than anything else in the world. I just thought it was cool. Either that or I'd buy a video game because years ago, video games were actually more affordable than they are now. The prices of video games are actually gone through the roof, and they're really ridiculous. So, I choose, if I could go back in time and buy wrestling action figures and gargoyles action figures over video games of this generation, I would choose that hands down. So, if you're passionate about collecting Descendants of Zombies dolls, I think you should continue to follow in your passions because you never know where your passions could lead you. It could lead you to meeting your best friend, which has happened for a lot of people because they were passionate about Descendants of Zombies. It happened for me because years ago I was passionate about everything Disney and all things professional wrestling. A lot of it had to do with the biggest reason of all being that I believed everything I saw in pro wrestling and on TV was real. I've often talked about this phase that I went through where I believed everything that I saw on TV was real, and it was really cool because in the 90s things looked more real and were more believable on TV. When you saw shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you either fell in love with the story between Buffy and Angel and how they loved each other, or Buffy and Spike because of their romance that happened in season 6 or 7 of Buffy by the time Buffy had gone on to achieve so much recognition. You either fell in love with the love story of Buffy and Angel or Buffy and Spike, or you just fell in love with the action that you had a chance of seeing every week on Buffy. It first premiered on the Warner Brothers network and then eventually premiered on networks like YTV and Space, and became one of the most popular shows of that generation. And I really do believe that if Descendants of Zombies had a spin-off series on, let's say, Disney Plus, it would also have the chance of going on to become everybody's favorite series. It would probably get millions of views every week. Every episode would be so revered and so raved about. And I think it would be so cool to experience it. Let's say they call it Oradon. It would be really cool if they had a show called Oradon based off your favorite Descendants characters, and I would love to be a creative writer or a producer behind that show's success. Let me put it to you this way. If Jonathan Clarke was hired as a producer and a writer behind Descendants of Zombies, Descendants 5, Wicked Wonderland, or the upcoming Zombies 5, whatever the title, I would go above and beyond the requirements of any director or any creative writer to bring this to life, because I really do believe that when you have a chance of bringing something special to life, that's what means the most to everybody watching it. Because the reality of it is, we're going to be a whole lot older by the time Zombies 5 comes out. I know 2027 seems like forever away. It really feels like forever away for many people probably watching this video tonight. But it's never as far away as what you may think it is. It's just 365 days, and all that means is that Jonathan Clarke is just going to have to upload videos about Descendants of Zombies every night for the rest of his life and talk about mermaids and pirates and all the storylines that could come to be because of the success of these franchises that they've previously seen, which is a great deal of success. It is Disney's biggest franchise of all time that has ever been created. And why do you guys think that is? It's because of your love, your dedication, and your contributions of how you buy things like the Freya Sky hoodie, the Descendants of Zombies Worlds Collide Tour hoodie, which I thought was beautiful despite how the critics felt about it. The quality of the merch wasn't really living up to their standard, and I just wanted to do something about that. I wanted you to feel cool in that Descendants of Zombies Worlds Collide Tour hoodie. I wanted you to feel comfortable in your own skin when you were wearing it, and hopefully I got through to a lot of people, and they did feel comfortable in their own skin wearing it, because there were a lot of critics out there that were trying to take away your hopes and dreams of what like to or were happening, or how this should have happened that never did, or how this never happened that they expected was supposed to have happened that was meant to happen in the Worlds Collide Tour. What did you expect for a 2-hour show? They were criticizing everything from a lack of pyro to the quality of the performances to the quality of the merchandise. So what I wanted to do in the videos that I had the chance to create was give you more incentives, give you more of a reason to believe in Descendants of Zombies than perhaps ever before. And lo and behold, somewhere, somehow, I was able to do that. I may have recorded 1,000 videos about zombie apocalypses and alien invasions, but the thing was, when you were a 13-year-old kid and you saw shows like The X-Files and The Outer Limits and The Twilight Zone, dun 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 dun. Trust me, watching The X-Files with the lights off in the late 1990s was never easy, especially when you were home alone and you were frightened to death to watch the thing because you didn't know what to expect. Stop laughing. I mean, you're talking to a guy who thinks that Five Nights at Freddy's is a real place, let alone a video game. And because I went through all these phases about watching alien abduction shows such as The X-Files and The Outer Limits, the thing was, 25 and a half years later, that was really brought to the forefront because of how much I believed in this YouTube channel and creating something special for each and every one of you. Trust me, guys, living in the 1990s, you haven't lived until you've watched The X-Files and you've experienced the original stories of Scully and Mullard. I had so many friends who were obsessed with that show, and lo and behold, I became obsessed with it, along with shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which was the coolest thing ever. It was a phase we all went through, but we believed in it more than our own lives, and that's what's allowed me the opportunity to resonate with more people than ever before. I always wanted to be an action hero on the show Buffy the Vampire Slayer or for movies like Van Helsing, which eventually became Descendants of Zombies because I saw how cool you guys thought it was, how cool these cast members were because they were by far one of the most relatable casts that I ever had the opportunity to talk about. And that really offered me something special to be a part of. And it's the one thing that I will never, ever forget, having a chance to be a part of something so special because of each and every one of you. The stories I've shared with you guys I never imagined will go on to be seen and heard by as many people that it eventually was. And that's why this YouTube channel has become everybody's favorite for the stories I've shared with you, because the content creators who talk about Descendants of Zombies never share with you their story. They pretty much just record a video from their mother's bedroom and they upload it on YouTube and pretty much they hope for the best. That's what they do. And I really do believe that when you speak with an open heart and an open mind about Descendants of Zombies, that's what really brings people to the forefront and gives them a greater appreciation for that. And in all honesty, guys, I really had the time of my life uploading so many videos that I never imagined would go on to achieve so much recognition and by far so much severity. Because there was a lot of competition out there for me to go up against on YouTube, and I have no idea how I've outlasted every single one of them. But I know how I did it when I think about it. When I seriously put my mind to it, it has to do with your love and your contribution to these stars and how much you truly have believed in their stories and how you wanted to be a part of something just as special as everybody else wanted to be a part of. Thank you so much for having a favorite character, a favorite moment, and believing in Descendants of Zombies really with all of your heart, because that's what's led this YouTube channel to all of its profound success. Something I never imagined would happen for me because I was a part of a very different generation. When you watch professional wrestling and you jump on your radio show or your YouTube channel and you review WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble, which eventually became a passion for Disney, which I wanted to showcase more than anything else in the world on a YouTube channel I would eventually create that would go on to have thousands of subscribers because of all of you and how much you believed in it. Again, guys, thank you so much for having chosen this YouTube channel as your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel, because there are many more conversations about Descendants of Zombies and all of your favorite stars that remain to be had. And I would love to be a part of these conversations up and coming with each and every one of you, because Descendants of Zombies undeniably has held a very special place in my heart for a very long time because of all of you. Because of how passionate you felt about the music, about the stories, and something that we've all had an emphatic chance to be a part of. I have loved these opportunities, and I've loved these moments that I've had the chance to share in with each and every one of you, because it gave me a chance to have my story seen and heard by more people than ever before, and more people than I ever imagined possible. This has truly been a life-changing experience for me, and one that I know that I will never, ever forget, because Descendants and Zombies has held a special place in our heart for a very long time. And I felt more than honored to be a part of that and to share in that with each and every one of you. So the way this YouTube channel works is we go right on through 365 days. There are no breaks, there are no holidays, there are no off days. This YouTube channel always has something new uploaded for everybody. So if you would like to subscribe and become a part of this incredible journey, to join us on this incredible and truly unforgettable journey that I feel like I've been on for forever and had no regrets because of creating it, you can hit my subscribe button and you can hit my like button, because I would love for you to be a part of these conversations, because there are many more conversations that we have yet to have about Descendants of Zombies as people continue to draw inspiration from obviously something that is very special, that has held a very special place in their heart for many, many years. And I felt more than honored to be a part of that and to give you more inspiration than perhaps ever before, and give you a chance to believe in something special when it comes to your favorite characters and their stories, because to be honest with all of you, they were incredibly beautiful stories that I felt more than honored to be a part of and to have shared in with each and every one of you. Thank you so much for having made this your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel of all time, and as always, thank you so much for having watched this video.